Good morning. My name is Jim Cody. I'm with the Caltrans Division of Construction and co-chair of the Joint Caltrans Industry 2015 Standards Task Group. The task group includes representatives from Caltrans, individual contractors, AGC of California, California Asphalt Pavement Association, and California Construction Industrial Materials Association. This webcast was prepared by the task group to provide information about the Caltrans 2015 standards. For contractors, the webcast is intended to make you more familiar with the 2015 standards in preparing your bids, sub-bids, material quotes, and in performing work under it. For Caltrans and local agency staff, the webcast is intended to introduce the 2015 standards and should help in preparing the contract documents and administering contracts using these standards. In this presentation, we will answer the following questions. First, how do the construction contract standards work? We will cover the 2015 standard specifications, the revised standard specifications, and the corresponding standard special provisions used by each contract. We will also talk about standard plans, revised standard plans, and related documents. Second, payment. How is work paid for? To answer this question, we will cover how payment is made, starting with the bid item number and navigating through the applicable specifications. Lastly, changes in 2015 standards. Where did that specification go? In this part of the presentation, we will cover how the divisions and sections are organized and where specifications have been moved compared to the 2010 standard specifications. The 2015 specification experts serving as presenters today are Jill Sewell, Caltrans Division of Engineering Services, Office Engineer, former Office Chief of Construction Contract Standards, who will address how do the construction contract standards work. The second presenter will be Chuck Susko, Caltrans Division of Construction, Office of Construction Engineering, who will address both payment, how is work paid for, and changes in 2015 standards, where did that specification go? Your attendance today is certainly appreciated in assisting both Caltrans and industry to implement the 2015s. So let's begin. I will turn this over to Jill Sewell.
Thank you, Jim. Navigating the 2015s has not changed much from the 2010s, but we thought we'd go through some of the basics. The focus of the presentation is on these construction contract standards: 2015 standard specifications, 2015 standard special provisions, and the 2015 standard plans. There are three other contract standard documents, namely bid items, the bid book, and the notice to bidders and special provisions. The presentation will also include a discussion of the documents that revise the standards. They are revised standard specifications, which are included in the notice to bidders and special provisions book, revised standard plans, which are included in the contract plans. What are the contract parts? We need to understand how the parts fit together. Section 5-02 of the standard specifications show the contract parts. The relative ranking of contract parts in descending order are shown from 1.1 through 1.7 under Item 1. The highest ranking contract part is the special provisions. The next highest is the project plans. The next highest is revised standard specifications, then the standard specifications, then the revised standard plans, then the standard plans, and lastly, supplemental project information. The bid item list. Before we start talking about how contract parts work together, we need to understand that the bid item is the starting point for navigating the contract parts. The bid item list includes specific items of work for the contract, quantity that is estimated for the item of work, units of payment for that item work, and bid prices for the item work. Section 1-1.01 of the standard specifications state, the bid items set forth the construction specifications that apply. The first two digits of a bid item code correspond to the specification section number with the same two first digits. For example, the applicable specification section based on bid item 190101 roadway excavation is section 19 earthwork. Let's talk about the two bid item exceptions. The first exception is in section 1-1.01 of the standard specifications. Bid item code 999990 mobilization corresponds to section 9. The second exception is when the bid item code doesn't match the technical sections. When this occurs, the bid items and applicable sections are shown in section 1-1.01 of the special provisions. For example, item code 027332's applicable section is 15. Now that you know what the contract parts are, we will go into more detail about how the contract specifications work. The contract specifications are made up of three parts: special provision 1.1 special provisions, 1.3 revised standard specifications, 1.4 standard specifications. The foundation for all of the specifications is the standard specifications. The revised standard specifications revise the standard specifications for all contracts. The special provisions may revise both the standard specifications and the revised standard specifications for a particular contract. Both use the RAD method, which is replace portions or all of a section, add to a section, delete portions or all of a section. A revision clause shown at the top of each revised standard specification and special provision describes either replace, add, or delete specifications. An example on screen shows three revision clauses for replace, add, and delete. This is how the contract specifications are organized. Let us talk about the organization in more detail. General divisions. To begin our discussion about the organization, let's talk about general divisions, which apply to all sections and therefore are shown at the bottom as the foundation. The general divisions are Division 1 General Provisions, Division 2 General Construction, and Division 11 Materials. The specifications in these three divisions apply to all other sections. Now let's take a look at the organization from a different view. We started with the foundation, which are the general divisions. Then we have division generals. For division generals, the specifications in the general section of a division apply to all sections within the division, which is stated in Division 1 General Provisions, sections 1-1.01. Then we have general sections. Like in divisions, Specifications in a section titled General apply to all the subordinate sections within the section as stated in Division 1, General Provisions, Section 1-1.01. In addition to section generals, we have specific section generals within subordinate sections. The specifications are now organized with different levels of generals: general division, division, section, and specific section. The division generals were added in the 2015 standards to combine the specifications that were repeated in subordinate sections in the 2010 standard specifications. At the top of the pyramid, we have detailed specifications which describe the technical aspects of the work. We have discussed the general specifications at 4 levels. General specifications apply to sections at the same or lower levels. However, specific specifications govern over general specifications. The RAD method identifies the specific changes to the specifications. Let's do one example based on bid item 190101, roadway excavation. The starting point for navigating contract specifications is based on the first 2 digits of the bid item. For bid item 190101, roadway excavation, 19 is our starting point. The specifications in the general divisions apply to all the bid items. The general divisions are Division 1, General Provisions, Division 2, General Construction, and Division 11, Materials. Section 19 is in Division 3, Earthwork and Landscape. For Division 3, Earthwork and Landscape, Section 17, General, is the general section for this division, and it applies to all the sections within this division. Based on bid item 190101, roadway excavation, the first 2 digits of the bid item set forth the technical section that applies. Section 19-1 General is applicable to all the sections within Section 19 Earthwork. Let's look at Section 19-1 General, which is applicable to all the subordinate sections within Section 19 Earthwork. For example, the unsuitable material specification under Section 19-1.03b applies to all the sections within 19, such as 19-2 roadway excavation, 19-3 structure excavation and backfill, etc. Now we need to find the specific general that applies to this bid item. Based on the bid item roadway excavation, the specific Section 19-2.01 General applies to this bid item. With that, we are now at the top of the pyramid, which represents the detailed specifications for this bid item. For Section 19-2 roadway excavation, the detailed specifications are shown under the following sections: 19-2.02 materials, 19-2.03 construction, and 19-2.04 payment. Let's take a look at Section 19-2.03 construction in detail. For example, the specific specifications for surplus materials are shown under 19-2.03 surplus materials. In summary, to navigate the specifications, you start with the first 2 digits of the bid item number. In order to build the specification requirements for a bid item, you start with the general divisions as a foundation and then add division generals, section generals, specific section generals, and finally, add the detailed specific item specifications. The most important navigational change from the 2010 standard specifications to the 2015 standard specifications is the addition of the general division sections, with the exception of Division 8 miscellaneous construction and Division 9 traffic control devices. Now that we know how to navigate standard specifications, let's look at revised standard specifications. The updates to the standard specifications are done by publishing revised standard specifications. The revised standard specifications use the replace, add, delete, RAD method to modify the standard specifications. The revised standard specifications are published quarterly unless special circumstances require immediate changes. The revised standard specifications version applicable to a contract is included in the notice to bidders and special provisions of the contract. Here is a look at the April 22, 2016 version of the revised standard specifications. Each revision to the standard specifications begins with a revision clause that describes or introduces a revision to the standard specifications. Each revision has a date on the right above it. The date is the publication date of the revised term, phrase, sentence, paragraph, or section. Now let's look at the special provisions. The special provisions are project-specific specifications. The specifications in the special provisions use the replace, add, delete, RAD method to modify standard specifications and the revised standard specifications. For example, here is a special provision for Section 19-2.03b. The second example shows a special provision that modifies a sentence in a revised standard specification. The special provisions, revised standard specifications, the standard specifications, and the reference documents combined make the contract specifications. The contract specification pyramid combines the standard specifications, revised standard specifications, and the special provisions at each level of the pyramid, and is merged based on the contract parts rank, as shown previously in Section 5102 of the standard specifications. The relationship between different levels of the pyramid, specific specifications govern over general specifications, is maintained in the contract specifications as we build up the combined pyramid from the bottom. To understand the complete contract specifications, you need to make sure that all the pieces fit in the proper order. General Divisions 1, 2, and 11, Division Generals, Section Generals, Specific Section Generals, and Detailed Specifications. Now that we have completed the contract specifications, we need to talk about the plans. The plans include the project plans, the revised standard plans, and the standard plans. The typical function of the contract plans is to graphically describe the location of the project, the location of the work, and the details of the work. The project plans include specific plans such as project layout, drainage, typical cross sections, electrical, traffic, and also include construction details. Revised standard plans applicable to a project are included in the contract plans. Here is an example of a standard plans list that is included between the table of contents and the notice to bidders in the special provisions. Here is an example of a reference to a standard plans list shown on a contract plan sheet. The contract plans include standard plans, revised standard plans, and project plans. Now we will talk about supplemental project information. Starting with the 2010 standard specifications, supplemental project information became part of the contract. Section 2-1.06B of the 2015 standard specifications specifies that the department makes supplemental project information available. An example of supplemental project information for Section 2-106B of the special provisions is shown. Supplemental project information may include other information that is referenced and described in the contract, such as applicable permits, licenses, agreements, and certifications, also known as plaques, cross-sections if there is earthwork, applicable design reports, log of test borings. These may include in the plans or geotechnical report, electronic data such as 3D models, digital terrain models, and digital design models that are necessary for automated machine guidance and intelligent compaction. Railroad information, tunnel classification, the tunnel safety orders, and water availability. Let's put all the contract parts together with an example of roadway excavation. Now let us take a look at the roadway excavation example, contract bid item 190101. For roadway excavation, the contract specifications are General Divisions, Division General Section 17, Section General 19-1, Specific Sections 19-2.02 Materials, 19-2.03 Construction, and 19-2.04 Payment. As of today, there are no revised standards specifications for this bid item. If you have surplus material, then the contract special provisions may have a special provision in Section 19-2.03B that requires the disposal of surplus material rather than allowing use on the job site. Roadway excavation plans. Contract plans. Earthwork is shown on the typical cross-sections, layouts, profiles, super elevation, and summary of quantity sheets. Standard Plan A62A shows the limits of excavation. Revised Standard Plans, as of May 18, 2016, there are no RSPs for earthwork. Supplemental project information. Cross-sections, electronic earthwork data, for example 3D models, etc. If you know how the parts fit, you will get this instead of this. At this time, I will hand over the remaining part of the presentation to Chuck Susko. If you have any questions, please feel free to submit your questions during this transition. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. The second topic we want to discuss is payment, and we will answer the question, how is work paid for? Determining how work is paid for follows the same specification navigation process that we just saw in the first section of the presentation on the contract parts for the standard specifications. You always start with the bid item list, which includes the specific item work for the contract, the quantity that is estimated for the item work, the units of payment for the item work, and the bid prices for the item work. Understand that the applicable specifications, payment clauses, starting with the standard specifications, any revised standard specifications, and any clauses in the special provisions that modify payment. When navigating the payment specifications, remember that Section 5102 Contract Component states that the specific specifications govern over the general specifications. Moving down the pyramid is moving from specific specification to the more general. So starting with the foundation for payment is Division 1, General Provisions, in Section 9, Payment. To answer the question, how is work paid for, we start at Section 9103, Payment Scope, in the General Division, which states that full compensation for all work involved in each bid item shown on the bid item list by the unit of measure shown for that bid item. The second thing for that is for the price bid for each bid item shown on the bid item list or are changed by a change order with a specified price adjustment. Full compensation for the work specified in Divisions 1, 2, and 11 materials is included in the payment for the bid item involved unless the bid item for the work is shown on the bid item list or 2, work is specified as change order work. Work paid for under one bid item is not paid for under any other bid item. And the last part of this section we'll discuss today is that payment for a bid item includes payment for work in sections referenced by the section set forth by that bid item. Let's now look at these scope of payment paragraphs in a little more detail and how to apply them. Let's start with what could be referred to as the division full compensation clause into various items of work. There were a number of concerns raised by contractors after the 2010 standard specifications were published based on this paragraph shown from Section 9103 Payment Scope, which states that payment is full compensation for work specified in Divisions 1, Divisions 2, and 11 is included in the payment for the bid items involved unless two things. First, the bid item for the work is shown on the bid item list, or second, the work is specified as change order work. The contractor's major concerns was that work in Division 2 Construction General, which includes Section 12, Temporary Traffic Control, Section 13, Water Pollution Control, and Section 14, Environmental Stewardship, would no longer have bid items and would all be included in the payment for the other bid items involved in the work. Caltrans has no intention of eliminating bid items for items of work such as traffic control, stormwater best management practices, or environmental related bid items. There should be a bid item for work in Division 2 except when the work is incidental to other construction activities or the work results from how the contractor wants to perform the contract item work. Contracts should have bid items for Division 2 work such as traffic control, providing a biologist, removing known hazardous waste, stormwater prevention plans, stormwater BMPs, and the other environmental requirements. Some examples of when Division 2 work would be considered incidental to a construction activity and would not have a bid item are, the first example, traffic control for plant establishment work that's located off the roadway, even though there could be locations where a shoulder closure may be necessary during the work. The second example is for chip seal projects where there may be no bid item for stormwater pollution prevention plan or installation of BMP requirements, because these are considered incidental and therefore they would be included in the other item payment of work. I will repeat once more. Caltrans has no intention of eliminating bid items for items of work such as traffic control, stormwater best management practices, or environmental related items. For contractors, if you're bidding a project and see work that is not just incidental and there is no bid item, then you should submit a pre-bid question. For example, if the stormwater BMPs are going to cost you $10,000 and there is no bid item for stormwater BMPs, ask a pre-bid question. In closing, there's probably several of you asking, what amount of work should be considered incidental? More than 25 years ago, as a young project design engineer, someone told me if the work costs the contractor more than $500, then you should include a bid item in the project. A lot of time has gone by since then. I got that advice, and today I would consider that if the work costs more than $2,000, a designer should be including a bid item and not consider that the work would be incidental. Also, if the work is normally performed by a subcontractor, no matter what the cost, you probably should be including a bid item in the project. My last advice to you contractors, ask a pre-bid question if there is required work and there is no listed bid item for Divisions 1 and 2. Moving on, in the case where there is work shown on the plans but there is no bid item and the bid item lists for Divisions 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or 12, then the Section 9 103 payment scope paragraph shown on the screen, along with the Section 101, which states the bid item sets forth the construction specifications that apply, protects the contractor from having to perform the work shown on the plans without any compensation if there is no bid item. For resident engineers, you should ensure that the work that's shown on the plans is not referenced by another bid item section before writing a change order to compensate the contractor. Continuing on with our Section 9 103 payment scope, to protect contractors from unintentional consequences, especially unforeseen costs, we have now included some conditional bid items for Divisions 1 and 2. The following sections in Division 1 and 2 contain conditional language that the section applies only when there is a bid item shown on a bid item list. These sections that currently have this provision are Section 5-1.20E Water Supply, Section 7-1.02K 6J II Lead Compliance Plan, Section 13-101C4D Water Quality Analysis Water Quality Annual Reports, and Section 14-6.03D1 Contractor Supplied Biologist. For example, for the underlined of 5102E, the water supply specification starts the first sentence with Section 5-1.20E applies if a bid item for water meter charges is shown on the bid item list. So again, you have to have a bid item in order for this section to apply in Division 1. The specification requirements not in Division 1 General Provisions, Division 2 General Construction, or Division 11 Materials, some of the technical specification sections reference another specification section. One of the goals for both the 2010 standards and 2015 standards rewrite was to remove all cross-referencing if possible. So when you see cross-referencing, you need to pay special attention because it may cost you. Section 9103 Payment Scope states, payment for a bid item includes payment for work in sections referenced by the section set forth by that bid item. You are not going to typically find the cross-referencing in the payment section. It could be under the general, construction, or material sections. Contractors, estimators, and those who administer contracts frequently ask, how is the work paid for, when they come across work and there's no bid item. When there is no bid item for work, there may be a cross-reference you missed, or there may be a missing bid item. When you're not sure how something is paid for, ask a pre-bid question. Here is an example of a cross-reference that affects payment. Section 86-102 Materials under Section 86-102A General states that anchor bolts, anchor bars, or studs and nuts and washers must comply with Section 75-102. For bid item number 870400 Signals and Lighting Systems, The specific specification section is section 87.4, Signals and Lighting Systems. The specifications in this section state that the signal and lighting system includes foundations, pole boxes, conduits, conductors, cables, standards, signal heads, etc. Section 86 is the general section for Division 10 electrical work. The specifications in section 86.102 general applies to the section 87 bid items for signals and lighting. But now we have the specification cross-reference from section 86 to section 75.102 in section 86.102A general. This now means that any anchor bolts, anchor bars or studs and nuts and washers required are included under the bid item 870400 Signals and Lighting System. Another example of a cross-reference that affects payment. Under section 86.102J, standards, poles, pedestals, and posts, standards for signals, lightings, and flashing beacons, poles for closed-circuit television, pedestals for cabinets, posts for extinguishable message signs, and posts for pedestrian push-button assemblies must comply with section 56-3. Again, a cross-reference to section 56-3. Like I said before, the bid item number is 870400 Signal and Lighting System. The specification section is section 87-4 Signals and Lightings, which in that section for signals and lighting, the system includes the foundation, the pull box, the conduit, the conductors, the cables, the standards, etc. So section 87 says that signals and lightings includes the standards. Section 86 is the general section for Division 10 electrical work. The specification in section 86.102J for standards, poles, pedestals, and posts under section 86.102 materials applies to the section 87 bid item for signals and lightings. Because section 86.102J requires the standards by cross-reference comply with section 56.3, the standards and poles are paid for under bid item 870400 Signal and Lighting System. If you missed the first cross-reference for anchor bolts and nuts, you're probably only worth about $500. If you missed the second cross-reference about the standards from section 86 to general to section 56-3, you may have found that you've just made a $40,000 mistake in your bid by not including the cost of the standards in the bid item 870400 Signals and Lighting. How is work paid for? We spent a lot of time discussing that section 109.1.03 payment scope in Division 1 general provisions under section 9 payment because these specifications are the foundations for how work is paid for. To get the complete answer to the question, how is work paid for, you must continue moving up the pyramid to the division generals. The sections for payment in the division generals are mostly not used, but you need to look to ensure there are no specifications for payment. Shown are the two payment sections in Division 3, Earthwork and Landscape for Section 17 General. Now shown are the payment sections in Division 5, Surfacing and Pavements, Section 36 General. So you see under Section 36.104 payment is not used, but under Section 36-2.04 payment includes that the payment quantity for the base bond breaker does not include the payment for the overlaps. There are also a lot of payment sections under the section generals that are not used, but you need again to look at these sections to ensure you have the complete answer to the question, how is the work paid for? Because there may be payment specifications. Shown are the section generals for Section 19 Earthwork and Section 39 Asphalt Concrete. In this case, for both of these general sections, the payment sections are not used. Shown on the screen now is the specific payment section for Section 19-2 Roadway Excavation. The specific specification payment sections are usually where you will find payment information. Most of these specifications will be about how to measure an item of work. There are a lot of the specific specification payment sections, though, that are still not used because the bid item unit of measure is sufficient, so no additional specification requirements are shown. The other thing you need to note here with the 2015s is that the deductions for the out-of-specification material are no longer in the payment sections, but are now located in the department acceptance section under the quality assurance section. What does the work cover? Okay, so payment for an item covers all the work in the general materials and construction sections of the specifications for the bid item, unless it has been stated otherwise. I'm going to now give you some examples of some specific specification sections where we do state that it is paid otherwise. The first example here is section 39201A3L data cores. So for this, section 39-2.01A3L applies if a bid item for a data core is shown on the bid item list. So in this case, you could have other section 39 bid items for hot mix asphalt that take you to section 39, but in the case of data cores, you would only do data cores if there was a bid item shown for data cores. The next example is for the section 39-2.01C3D, the pre-paving inertial profiler. Again, this section 39-2.01C3D applies to the existing asphalt concrete surfaces receiving an overlay if a bid item for pre-paving inertial profiler is shown on the bid item list. So again, as if there is not a bid item shown for the inertial profiler, you are not required to do it. And one more example that probably a lot of people don't know about is down in section 39-2.01D payment. Shown is the second paragraph there. It says, except for tack coat used in minor HMA, payment for tack coat is not included in the payment for hot mix asphalt. So contractors, here's one you should pay attention to, because in the past we always said it was included, but we've now changed it to say, except for minor HMA, that the tack coat is going to be a separate pay item. To determine how work is paid for, you start with the bid item list. Remember, the first two digits of the bid item code show the section of the contract specifications that apply. We're going to do an example here again using our earthwork. Section bid item is 190101. So the first two digits 19, so section 19 earthwork and landscape earthwork applies. Remember to check section 101 for bid item code exceptions. This is if we have to transfer the section because the bid item code usually starts with a 0. Now you use the bid item list to determine, first with the item description. You may be able to find, based on the item description, the specific specifications that apply within the technical section. You just determine with those first two digits. You also, with the bid item list, you can determine the units of measure used for payment in most cases. You also have the quantity that is estimated for the item work, and you have the bid prices for the item work. The first two digits, again, points to the specific sections needed. The item description may point to a specific section a specific specification section, or possibly it may only point to a specific section general. If a specific payment section is not found, go down the pyramid. The general sections still apply. Those general sections, again, are the section general, the division general, and then the construction general provisions. If no specific or general specification modifies the measurement or payment of the item along the way, then when you reach the pyramid foundation at the bottom, the only specification for how work is paid for is section 9-1.03 payment scope. Here's an example of how the payment specifications go together for bid item number 190101 roadway excavation. Stepping down the pyramid, we start at the specific specification for roadway excavation, section 19-204 payment, which is shown here on the screen now. These specific specifications for payment cover how to measure the roadway excavation quantity. Next is the section general, section 19-1.04 payment for section 19, which you can see is not used. Next is the Division General for Section 3, Earthwork and Landscape, which is Section 17 General, which has two sections, 17-2.04 Payment, again, which is not used, and it also has Section 17-1.04 Payment, which is also not used. Next is the General Divisions, which are the foundation. We have Division 2, General Construction, that has no payment specifications for earthwork. Last is the General Division Foundation, Division 1, General Provisions, which is Section 9, Payment. Within Section 9 Payment are the general specifications for payment in Section 9103, Payment Scope. So for bid item 190101, roadway excavation, the general specifications for payment in Section 9103, Payment Scope applies, and the measurement specifications for earthwork in Section 19-2.04, Payment apply. The main thing from Section 9103 is that full compensation for all work involved in each bid item shown on the bid item list by the unit of measure shown for that bid item is what applies to the bid item for roadway excavation. The third and final presentation today will cover changes in the 2015 standards with emphasis on where did that specification go. You're going to see that there have been some reorganization and additions to the 2015 standard specifications. Any changes to the technical content of the specifications made in the 2015 standard specifications were also made in the 2010 standard specifications when the 2015 standard specifications were electronically published on October 30th, 2015. Caltrans will continue to publish parallel changes for the 2010s to the 2015 standard specifications and also the standard plans until June 30th of 2017. A recent example of the parallel publishing was on April 15, 2016 version of the RSS when the electrical specifications were published as the revised standard specifications for both the 2010 and the 2015 standards. So for technical content, if you're currently bidding a project using the 2010 standard specifications, the version of the revised standard specifications included in the special provisions contain the same technical content as that in the 2015 standard specifications. Now, let us begin on where did that bleep specification go? The changes in 2015 standard topics that we are going to discuss today are the new divisions and division name changes, new general sections, new sections and section name changes, changes made to all of the technical sections including the quality assurance sections and table formatting. Then we will talk about a closer look at the section changes including the definitions and submittals that have changed, and then the big change we've made is where did the content of Section 15 existing facilities go. And last, we're going to follow up at the end and we're going to talk about the changes that were made to the standard plans. First topic we're going to cover here is the changes in the standard specification divisions. On the following two slides, blue is going to indicate that the division name changed and green is going to indicate a new division. So shown here, the only changes in divisions 1 through division 6 is that division 3 grading is now earthwork and landscape. Again, blue indicates the division name change, green indicates a new division. So shown here for divisions 7 through 12, the changes to divisions are first, the 2010 Division 7 Drainage is now titled Division 7 Drainage Facilities, and the 2010 Division 9 Traffic Control Facilities is now titled Division 9 Traffic Control Devices. A new division, Division 10 Electrical Work, has been added in 2015. The addition of the electrical division required that the 2010 Division 10 materials move to Division 11 and that the 2010 Division 11 building construction move to new Division 12. In the first part of the presentation today, we discussed that there have been new general sections added to the technical divisions. So now we have in Divisions 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 new general sections. In addition, Division 10 Electrical also has a general section, which is Section 86. We will now cover the changes in the standard specification sections, which include new sections and content changes. The changes to the standard specification sections were done for 4 reasons. First, some of the sections were moved to accommodate the addition of the general sections to the divisions. Second, some new sections were created within divisions to accommodate the increasing number of specifications for work of rehabilitation or repair of existing facilities. You will hear more later on the breakup of Section 15 existing facilities. Third, some sections did not have a lot of content, such as 2010 Section 81 monuments, so it was combined into another section. And the last reason is that there were some sections that contained specifications that belonged in another division or section, such as Section 59 painting, so the content was reorganized and moved to the appropriate sections. For the following 4 slides, green is going to indicate that there was a name and content of the section changed, and yellow will indicate that the section name changed, but the content has remained mostly the same. Now we will go over the sections with name and content moves or just name changes, and then we will take a closer look at some of the section content changes later in the presentation. Starting in Division 2 General Construction, 2010 Section 11 Quality Control and Assurance is now 2015 Section 11 Welding. 2010 Section 16 Clearing and Grubbing moved from Division 3 to Division 2 and is now 2015 Section 16 Temporary Facilities. In Division 3 Earthwork and Landscape, 2010 Section 17 Watering is now 2015 Section 17 General for Division 3, and 2010 Section 30 Reserved is now 2015 Section 30 Reclaimed Pavement. So as a reminder, green indicates the name and the content of the section change, yellow indicates the section name change, but the content remained mostly the same. So in Division 5, Surfacing and Pavements, 2010 Section 39 Hot Mix Asphalt is renamed to 2015 Section 39 Asphalt Concrete. 2010 Section 41 Concrete Pavement Repair is renamed to 2015 Section 41 Existing Concrete Pavement. In Division 6 Structures, 2010 Section 56 Signs is now 2015 Section 56 Overhead Sign Structures, Standards, and Poles. 2010 Section 59 Painting is now 2015 Section 59 Structural Steel Coatings. 2010 Section 60 Reserved is now 2015 Section 60 Existing Structures, the new home for all of those specifications that deal with work on existing structures. In Division 6 Drainage, 2010 Section 61 Culvert and Drainage Pipe Joints and 2010 Section 62 Alternative Culverts were combined and are now 2015 Section 61 General, which is the general section for Division 6 Drainage. And there also is 2010 Section 71 Reserved is now the 2015 Section 71 Existing Drainage Facilities, which is now the new home for all of those specifications that deal with work on existing drainage facilities. In Division 8, Miscellaneous Construction, 2010 Section 78 Reserved is now 2015 Section 78 Incidental Construction. 2010 Section 81 Monuments content again moved to 2015 Section 78 Incidental Construction if you wanted to know where it went. You should also note that there is no general division for Division 8. In Division 9 Traffic Control Devices, 2010 Section 81 Monuments was moved from Division 8 to Division 9. It is now 2015 Section 81 Miscellaneous Traffic Control Devices. 2010 Section 82 Markers and Delineators is now 2015 Section 82 Signs and Markers. In 2010 Section 84 Traffic Stripes and Pavement Markings is now 2015 Section 84 Markings. 2010 Section 85 Pavement markers is a reserved section in the 2015 standard specifications, and the content was moved to Section 81, Miscellaneous Traffic Control Devices. You should also note Division 9 does not have a general section. New Division 10 electrical work. When the 2015 standard specifications were published, the electrical specifications were not ready, so sections 86 through 88 were reserved. On April 15, 2016, the following electrical sections were published as revised standard specifications. 2010 Section 86 Electrical Systems is now 2015 Section 86 General, which is the general section for the electrical work division. 2010 Section 87 Materials General is now 2015 Section 87 Electrical Systems. In 2010 Section 88 Geosynthetics is now a reserved section in the 2015 standard specifications. We're closing in on it. In Division 11, Materials. 2010 Section 87 Materials Generals was moved to Division 10 of the electrical work, as well as 2010 Section 88 Geosynthetics was moved to Division 10 to create the electrical work section. 2010 Section 89 Reserved is now the 2015 Section 89 Aggregates. 2010 Section 92 Asphalts is renamed to 2015 Section 92 Asphalt Binders. 2010 Section 93 Liquid Asphalts is now a reserved section in the 2015 standard specifications. And 2010 Section 96 Reserved is now 2015 Section 96 Geosynthetics. There were changes made to all of the technical sections in the 2015 standard specifications based on the 2015 specifications style guide, and also because of the implementation of the Construction Quality Assurance Program Manual. We'll now go over these in some more detail. So the changes that were made in all the technical sections for quality assurance. Quality control and quality assurance sections in the 2010 standard specifications were renamed to Quality Assurance in the 2015 standard specifications. The reason is that quality assurance encompasses all materials and construction activities on a project. Quality assurance includes now both the contractor's quality control and the department's acceptance. This change was made to clarify the distinction between the contractor's and the department's responsibilities. So for department acceptance includes inspection, sampling, and testing performed on workmanship or materials to determine whether the work complies with the specified requirements and industry standards. Where the contractor's quality control tests are focused on testing during the process of producing the materials, the department's acceptance testing is primarily focused on the end product and used to determine whether the finished material complies with the specified quality characteristic requirements. You also have verification testing. Verification testing. This form is used as acceptance, uses a statistically based number of random tests performed by the department to verify that the contractors perform quality control testing. In this form, both the contractors and the department's test results are used collectively to determine whether the material is accepted. When this method is used, the contractors, samplers, testers, and laboratories must be certified under the department's independent assurance program. Similarly, a dispute resolution process for resolving discrepancies between the contractors and department's test results must be included within the specifications when this method is used. One example of where the department has used this in the past was the old QCQA process specified in Section 39 of the 2010 standard specifications for hot mix asphalt prior to Caltrans adopting the new SuperPave mix design. Here is an example of how the 2015 standard specifications show the quality requirements for Section 41-2 subsealing and jacking used for concrete pavement. For quality control, the contractor is responsible for the grout testing during the process of jacking the slab. The department's acceptance is clearly focused on the end result that the pavement slab surface must be within 0.01 foot of the required grade. For consistency in the 2015 standard specification, the term quality characteristics replaces the 2010 standard specification terms such as property, test, method, and requirement. For contractors' quality control, the quality characteristics specified should be those that control the process used in producing the material and may include quality characteristics that measure the performance of the final product. For the department acceptance, again, the quality characteristics specified should be those that can be directly measured or that relate to the engineering design requirements that are the basis for the long-term performance of the material. Shown here is Table 2.2 of the quality control requirements that came out of the Construction Quality Program Manual. For example, for quality characteristics for concrete pavement, for quality control, the contractor should be looking at air content, gradation, slump, and smoothness, where the acceptance criteria for the department would again be air content thickness, modulus of rupture, and also pavement smoothness. We have a lot of work that still needs to be done to fully implement this change in all of the technical sections of the standard specifications, but the 2015 now provides the consistent format we will be using moving ahead. As part of the effort to standardize the format for quality assurance specifications for 2015, standard specifications also have incorporated standardized table formatting. Shown is a table format that will be used for the contractor quality control testing. The first column will show the quality characteristic, the second column will show the test method that is used, the third column will show the minimum sampling and testing frequency, and the fourth column will show the sampling location. Another standardized table format for quality assurance specifications is a table for department acceptance. The table format that will be used for department acceptance will always be: the first column will show the quality characteristic, the second column will show the test method that is to be used, and the third column will show the requirement. This same table format will be used in the materials sections of the specifications and will include both the quality control and department acceptance quality characteristics and requirements. Now let's take a closer look at the section changes. Okay, we're going to start with the changes in Division 1, the General Provision sections. Section 1, General. So in sections 1-1.06 and 1-1.07, we have some new abbreviations and definitions. I'm going to go through and show you a couple of the more significant ones. There are now definitions for the action verbs for work to existing facilities, such as adjust, modify, abandon, remove, and relocate. Examples of some new abbreviations that we've added into this section are: we now have the MPQP. This is the reference to the department's Materials Plant Quality Program Manual, and this abbreviation is used widely throughout the quality assurance sections of the specifications. We also now have SDS, and that was because the MSDS has been changed by federal law to the SDS safety data sheet. And the last new abbreviation I'm going to highlight is TRO, is now a standard abbreviation for time-related overhead. Now we'll look at Section 5, Control of the Work. For action submittals, Section 5-1.23b1 General states, except for test samples, obtain the department's authorization for action submittals before you perform work based on them. For action submittals, there's been a change. The list shown in 2010 Section 5-1.23b1 for action submittals was removed from the specifications because any submittal not listed or designated as an informational submittal is an action submittal. So for action submittals, you have to get authorization before you proceed. I will repeat again, any submittal not specified as an informational submittal is an action submittal. Let's go down and look through what are informational submittals that are specified. So Section 5-1.23c informational submittals include assignments, certificates of compliance, manufacturer's instructions not associated with drawing submittals, notifications, plaques, subcontracts, QC test data, QC test results, and QC evaluation reports. Informational submittals that are not designated or shown in the submittals section are shown in the technical sections if they're not on that list. So I'm going to now show you some examples of some informational submittals that are designated. Here shown is an example in section 30-1.01C2 for asphaltic emulsion. This is for section 30 in pavement rehab. So in this case it states, for each dilution of the asphaltic emulsion used on the finished reclaimed pavement surface, submit as an informational submittal. So this is what you'll find throughout the specs. If a submittal is going to be in the submittal section informational, we'll now specify it as an informational submittal. Section 10 is the general section for Division 2 General Construction. Section 10 now includes work sequencing specification requirements for existing traffic elements, landscaping, and irrigation facilities, and traffic delineation that may be affected by work activities specified in other sections. This section content still includes time constraints which affect multiple work activities covered under the specifications in other sections. If a work activity only affects one item of work, the time constraints will be in the technical section of that item work. Now let's look at what else this section now includes. Section 10 now also includes Section 10-4 for water usage to help with water conservation, Section 10-5 for dust control requirements, and Section 10-6 watering. Because these specifications apply and are in Section 10, they apply to all other sections in the specifications. In the 2010 standard specifications, watering was in Section 17 in Division 3. Because it was in Division 3 and Division 3 does not apply to all the other sections, whenever water was required in a technical section, there had to be a reference back to Section 17 to tell you that the water was required. But with the 2015s, with the move of the watering into Section 10, since Section 10 in Division 2 applies to all sections, those references have been removed from the other technical sections. Last thing in Section 10 is sustainability, the lead requirements, and again, this is basically a reserve section right now. If there are requirements, they'll be placed by a project basis in the contract special provisions. Now we're in Division 2 General Construction. We're going to talk about Section 11 welding. Section 11 includes the general specifications for welding, where welding is specified to comply with the American Welding Society AWS. The quality control and quality assurance specifications in the 2010 Section 11 were moved. The 2010 Section 11-1.02 Quality Control Manager specifications were moved to 2015 Section 6-2 Quality Assurance. The 2010 Section 11-2 Precast Concrete Member specifications were moved into the 2015 Section 90-4 for Precast Concrete. Okay, here we go. The requirements for grinding and grooving residual collection and handling were consolidated in Division 2 General Construction. The Section 13 Water Pollution Control, Section 13-4 Job Site Management, most of these requirements came from the 2010 Section 42 Groove and Grind Concrete Pavement. Section 14 Environmental Stewardship in Division 2 General Construction now includes many of the special provisions that from before, such as the species protection, the contractor supplied biologist, wetland protection, and hazardous waste. Most of the dust control specifications were moved from Section 14.9 to Section 10. However, the aerially deposited lead requirements are still in Section 1411.08e dust control, and these apply when there are concentrations that are considered hazardous of aerially deposited lead. Continuing with Section 14 Environmental Stewardship and Division 2 General Construction, we need to talk about taking out the trash. Trash pickup, also known as solid waste disposal and recycling, has been historically littered throughout the specifications. Trash pickup requirements are now consolidated into Section 14-10, Solid Waste Disposal and Recycling. Some of the hazardous waste specifications that were in 2010 Section 13 Water Pollution Control were also moved into the Hazardous Waste and Contamination section in Section 14-11. Division 2, General Construction, Section 15, Existing Facilities. With more and more emphasis being placed on repairing and rehabilitation of the highway system, 2010 Section 15 Existing Facilities had grown to 36 pages, and there were many reserved sections for standard special provisions. Section 15 had grown so large because the section had to cover everything for existing facilities, from resetting a mailbox to placing a casing on a bridge column for seismic retrofitting. A decision was made to break up Section 15 Existing Facilities by moving the existing facilities work specifications into the various technical divisions and sections. A major change then in the 2015 standard specifications was moving the specifications for repairing or rehabilitating structures and drainage facilities into two new sections. We now have Section 60 Existing Structures and Division 6 Structures, and Section 71 Existing Drainage Facilities and Division 7 Drainage Facilities. For the other divisions, 2010 Section 15 Existing Facility specifications were moved to the end of the technical sections. There are some examples to be shown later in the slides in the presentation where we'll show you where these ended up. 2015 Section 15 Existing Facilities now include general construction specifications for performing work on existing facilities that could apply to multiple technical sections. So the ones that really remain here in this section, there's only really two main ones that remain in Section 15, and that is, the first one is for removing concrete, very generic specifications, and the other one is for salvaging materials. Section 15 is now only 2 pages because many of the moves from the 2015 section to the other technical sections in Section 15. The ones that were removed, we can say now, are for removing pavement was removed into Section 39.3, existing asphalt concrete. Concrete removal for concrete pavement was moved into Section 41, existing concrete pavement. And the bridge removal has been moved to Section 60, existing structures. Now let us talk about Section 16, Temporary Facilities and Division 2 General Construction. These temporary facility specifications, again, were scattered throughout other sections and have been brought together into this section. It includes such items as temporary pedestrian facilities, high visibility fences. Those are the type fence ESA. Those are for environmentally sensitive areas, contractors, not equipment storage areas. Also includes the temporary construction mats and also the job site water control. Now let us take a look at some changes in Division 3, which is now called Earthwork and Landscape. Section 17 General is the general section for Division 3 and applies to all the sections within the division. That's namely Sections 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. And for a lot of us, it's going to be a little bit hard to get used to because we're used to always saying it's Section 16, but chlorine and grubbing is now in Section 17-2. In Division 4, Sub-Bases and Bases, we have a new Section 30, which is reclaimed asphalt pavement, and it covers detailed specifications for pulverized roadbed, full depth reclamation, and crack and seat. Section 30 reclaimed pavement was created in 2010 as a revised standard specification, and its content has now become the 2015 Section 30 reclaimed pavement. Division 5, Surfacing and Pavements, got an overhaul. So, first is Section 36 was added as a general section to the division. The section now applies to every section within Division 5. Specifications that were repeated in the multiple surfacing and pavement sections were all moved into this section. It includes now all the requirements for the pre-construction meeting requirements. And now pre-construction meetings apply to asphalt paving, concrete paving, and seal coats. It includes the bond breaker, which was moved from 2010 Section 41 concrete. It also contains specifications for residual containing lead from paint and thermoplastic. Again, this is a reserve section, and if the department determines that there is a high lead content in the existing striping, then there would be a special provision added to cover that removal. Let's take a look at pavement smoothness, but we're going to do that in a little more detail of what we had to we moved. For pavement smoothness, the common specifications are now in Section 2015, Section 36-3 pavement smoothness, such as the requirements for the inertial profiler certification, and also the requirements for the inertial profiler data, performing, analyzing, and collecting data, and straight edge measurements. Again, these are the common things between concrete and asphalt pavements that are the same, and they were all moved into this section. Now, the pavement smoothness requirements that are different based on the pavement type, such as the mean roughness index and the areas of localized roughness requirements, are now in the specific technical sections. So shown here on the screen now, for example, is the pavement smoothness requirements for hot mix asphalt in Section 39-2 hot mix asphalt. So you have both the 60 and the 75 shown. There would also be a separate table in this section for OGFC, and then the requirements for concrete pavement would be shown in Section 40 for concrete pavement. Continuing on in Section Division 5, surfacing and pavements, we'll talk a little more about asphalt concrete. So in Section 39-2.01C5, there's been a terminology change from what we used to say the safety edge is now being called the tapered edge. And this change has been made both in the specifications and it's been made on the standard plans. The tapered edge is not a separate bid item, so the cost of installation is included in the payment for the bid item for hot mix asphalt or for concrete pavement. Now we're going to move on to Section 56, overhead sign structure, standards, and poles. The 2010 Division 6 structures, Section 56 was all about the different kinds of signs. The 2015 Section 6 structures is now overhead sign structures and includes all those specifications. It also includes the standards and poles. So standards and poles came from Section 86 electrical work, have all been moved into this Section 56. Now, again, as earlier in the presentation, remember you estimators, you need to note that since Section 86 General references back to Section 56 for standards and poles, therefore, because 86 is also the general section for Section 87, the payment for the poles are included in those Section 87 bid items. Division 6 structures, continuing on, we have Section 59 structural steel coatings. In 2010, Section 59 painting was all about painting various materials. Now, in 2015, it's only about painting structural steel coatings. The 2010 specification requirements for painting, staining, timber, concrete, and others have all been moved into the 2015 Section 78 incidental construction. Division 6 structures, Section 60 existing structures is a new home for all specifications for performing work on existing structures. Section 60-2 structure removal was moved from 2010 Section 15 existing facilities. Section 60-3 structural rehabilitation, most of this content again came from the 2010 Section 15 existing facilities. And lastly here, the content in Section 60-4 modifying structures. Most of this content actually came from 2010 standard special provisions. Division 6, drainage facilities. In this division, we now have a general section 61, which combines the previous 2010 sections 61 culverts and drainage pipe joints and 2010 section 62 alternative culverts. It now also includes all of the specifications that can be used on multiple types of pipe for joints, alternative culverts, concrete backfill, and temporary culverts. Division 6, drainage facilities, section 71, existing drainage facilities. The 2015 section 70-1-2 removed drainage facilities. This all came from 2010 section 15 2.02 remove. 2015 section 71-3 rehabilitate drainage structures. Content came from 2010 section 15-6 culvert rehabilitation. 2015 section 71-3 modifying drainage structures came from 2010 section 15-2.07 modify. And the last 2015 section 71-4 adjust drainage structures came from 2010 section 15-2.10 adjust. Division 7 miscellaneous construction, section 78 incidental construction. This isn't really a new section. It appeared in the 2010 revised standard specifications. This section contains various specifications for constructing incidental bid items that are not closely associated with other sections. In plain language, we refer to this section as the specification junk drawer. If you can't find a home in any other section of the specifications, then it probably belongs in section 78, incidental construction. The content includes the revised 2010 standard specifications and some additional specifications because of the reorganization. So survey monuments from 2010 section 81 were moved here. We also, the miscellaneous coatings from 2010 section 59, the painting of timber, staining of concrete, galvanized surfaces, and textured concrete and rock were moved into this section. Parking bumpers from 2010 standard special provisions was moved into here. And we also moved from section 15, the relocating and resetting of mailboxes was moved into the incidental construction section. And last, obliterating roads and detours were moved here from section 15, existing facilities. Division 9, traffic control devices, section 81, miscellaneous traffic control. This section now includes delineators, pavement markers, existing pavement markers, and delineators. Be aware that removing pavement markers was moved from the 2010 section 15 to the 2015 section 81-8, existing pavement markers and delineators. Shown here are the specification requirements now for removing pavement markers. Division 9, traffic control devices, section 82, signs and markers. Section 82 is now everything you ever wanted to know about signs. Section 82 consolidated much of the sign specifications such as roadside signs, wooden metal posts, markers, and overlays. It's the one-stop shop for anything you ever wanted to know about roadside signs and markers. For the 2015 Section 82 signs and markers and delineators were moved out, and all those specifications that deal with signs were moved in. This section includes, like I said, sign panel, roadside signs, signs overlays, markers, and existing roadside signs and markers and how you handle those. Division 9 traffic control devices, section 84 markings. 2010 section 84 traffic stripes and markings was renamed in 2015 to just section 84 markings. Section 84 now includes section 84-3 contrast treatments, which is reserved for the 2015 standard special provisions will be used for contrast treatment. Now, contrast treatment is used for such things as delineating bike lanes or crosswalks. In addition, rumble strips came from 2010 section 39 hot mix asphalt and section 40 concrete pavement moved into this section. And then existing marking removal of existing traffic stripe and paving markings and also contrast treatment removed from the 2010 section 15 existing facilities. Note to project designers and contract administrators, remember the first two digits of the bid item sets forth the section that applies, so if there's no contract item for remove of traffic stripe and pavement markings, then a change order will be required to remove the traffic stripe and payment markings and compensate the contractor. Okay, now we have electrical. I won't be able to cover everything here, but here are a few of the highlights. The electrical specifications have matured and now have their own division. Division 10 includes Section 86 General, Section 87 Electrical Systems, and Section 88 Reserve. This new division required a major structural change to the electrical standard specifications. At the same time, there was a variety of deletions, revisions, and updates made to the specifications. First, for the 2015 Standard Specification, Section 86 is now the General Section, which includes all of the equipment and material requirements. Section 87, Electrical Systems, is where the main technical content is located for constructing these electrical systems. Therefore, the majority of your bid items now for electrical work are going to point to the Section 87. Section 88 is reserved and is available for future expansions in the electrical division. The standard specifications have been reduced. For this section, we now only have 5, 1 for Section 86 and 4 for Section 87. As part of the reorganization of electrical specifications, some of the 2010 electrical work specifications were moved in the 2015 standard specifications into the following sections. So, Section 10-1.02b, Traffic Elements, now has all the specification requirements for how to handle existing traffic elements that are out there before construction begins on any job. Section 12.3.33 has the requirements for temporary signal systems. Section 12-3.34 includes the specifications for temporary flash and beacons. False work lighting is now in Section 48-2.03e. As we talked about before, Section 56-3.02 includes the steel standards, poles, pedestals, and posts. Section 56-305 has requirements for high mast lighting assembly poles. And last, Section 77-4, which is local infrastructure, includes the emergency vehicle detectors, since these are required by local agencies. And last is painting of electrical. Painting of electrical, again, got moved into the incidental work. It's in Section 78-4.08. Aggregates. Division 11. Material, Section 89 aggregate. Not much to say here. As you can see, it's mostly not used. There was in 2010 a special provision for slag aggregate, but I'll let you know it's been canceled. Division 11 Materials, 2010 Section 93 Liquid Asphalts is now a reserve section in 2015. Standard specifications, and the content has been removed from the specifications because Caltrans is no longer specifying the use of liquid asphalts because of environmental concerns. The conversion tables in the 2010 Section 93 liquid asphalts for converting a volume of asphalt to weight of asphalt based on the temperature were moved into 2015 Section 92 asphalt binders. Division 12 Building Construction, Section 99 Building Construction. All of the building specifications have been removed from the standards, including standards plans, specifications, and standard specifications. The building specifications were not included in the 2015 standards and were canceled because the building specifications are being converted into the master spec. A master spec is the industry standard for comprehensive technical building specifications. That said, Section 99 building construction may always be blank and populated for each job via the special provisions. This is because things change so often and every building job is kind of different, specific, and needs to be edited and prepared as such. So there may in the future be no standards that we publish in the standards book. Now we're going to quickly go through and talk about some changes to the standard plans. Several things here. First, abbreviations. We consolidated all the abbreviations and moved them into the first few pages. The only thing here is the symbols were not consolidated at this time. The other changes have mainly been in the electrical standards, so many of those have been revised. One of the biggest one that was revised is the battery backup systems. The electronic assembly diagrams are now included in the standard plans, and sheet ES3L through are ES3I through ES3L. And last, there were some changes in the pavement structural drainage sheets, have been moved from the drainage series D99 into the pavement series sheets P50 through P53. We have covered today the major changes in the 2015 standards, including new divisions and division name changes, new general sections, new section and section name changes, changes that were made to all the technical sections, and then we took a closer look at the section changes, and finally we finished up by looking at the changes in the standard plans. Even though there were a lot of reorganization in the specifications, the good news is that the specific technical content is the same as the current 2010 standards, because any changes to the technical content of the specifications made to the 2015 standard specifications were also made to the 2010 standard specifications when the 2015 standard specifications were electronically published on October 30th, 2015. Caltrans again will continue to publish parallel changes for the 2010 and 2015 standard specifications and standard plans until June 30th of 2017. In the coming months, more Caltrans contracts will be advertised that use the 2015 standards. Caltrans has set a policy that projects that are ready to list after June 30th of 2016 are supposed to use the 2015 standards. But of course, there may always be a few exceptions. Because you've attended this informational webcast today, you are now more prepared to use the Caltrans 2015 standards. This concludes the formal 2015 Construction Standards presentation, and we're now ready to begin our question and answer session. We encourage you to participate now by sending any questions via email address shown on the screen. There may not be adequate time to answer all questions received during the live webcast. We are documenting all questions received. For those questions that are not addressed during the live webcast because there's not adequate time to address all questions, or we need to do some additional research to answer the questions received, we will post the questions and the answers on the Division of Construction webpage. I will moderate the question and answer session and direct questions received to either Jill or myself to answer. We will start with the questions received during the presentation, and you may continue to submit questions during this Q&A session. Okay, we're going to start with the questions now. I'm going to direct that question to myself. The question is removed concrete pavement within roadway excavation limits included in roadway excavation? And the answer to that is, if it's within the limits of roadway excavation, concrete removal is included in the item. The second part of that is, if it is removing curb and gutter, sidewalk, and driveway within roadway excavation also included? And the answer is, if it's within the limits of roadway excavation, it is included in the roadway excavation payment by the cubic yard. If concrete pavement or sidewalks or other things are located outside the limits of roadway excavation, then there has to be a payment item for the removal. It'd be a separate payment item would be included. The second question regarding section 13-304 payment at the top, where does it say the department pays $500 for each REAP? Why does it say? Why does it say the department pays $500 for each REAP and $2,000 for each stormwater annual report? As part of Caltrans in the new construction general permit that came out several years ago, there was an agreement between Caltrans and industry, because estimating the cost of doing the REAPs and the annual reports at that time was not really known either by Caltrans or by the industry of what this was going to take in order to do this kind of work. So there was an agreement made between Caltrans and industry, numerous contractors and people that do stormwater work, that we would basically have a fixed price for these two items of work. These are one of the few items within Caltrans that we actually do have a fixed bid price. And you have a separate thing about can they be removed, and I will turn that over to the construction person responsible for stormwater to work with industry to see if it's now time to start looking at doing that. Question 3, are supplemental project information such as geotechnical reports and hydraulic reports part of the contract?
So the answer to that question is it depends on the type of project. If there are geotechnical reports and hydraulic reports that need to be included, they should be provided as part of the supplemental project information. There may be times where they're not always provided because it might be repetitive information, but it's up to the designer to come up with the list of information to provide the contractor so that they can bid.
The next question, question 4, is also on supplemental project information. The webinar did not include discussion of section 10-1.02b, paragraph 4 of the RSS, which is an informational handout. It says, conduct the status check with the engineer and electrical representative from the traffic operations office of the district in which the work is located. The department provides you a list of pre-construction operational status check results, including 1. Existing traffic management system elements and their locations within the project limits, and 2. Fully functioning elements, and 3. Non-operational elements. So the question, it seems, is should the 3 things be listed here, should they actually be provided as supplemental project information? The specification doesn't specify they will be supplemental project information provided at the time of the bid, but it says the department will provide these. So for contractors, if it wasn't provided up front as part of the bid, then with the pre-construction conference, you need to be asking the resident engineer that they need to provide these list of elements to you so that the pre-operational check can be completed. Question 5. There is no Section 86 electrical in the 2015 specs. You are correct. There are none in the published version hard copy of the book. The reason for that is the Section 86 electrical sections were not ready for prime time to go out. They had not been formatted in the new format and not in the 4 parts, and there was a lot of updating, and the decision was made we would hold those until we had it right, and then we would electronically publish those. Those specifications for Section 86 were published on the 4th April 15th of 2016. They are now available. They can be used in projects. At the same time that we did the publishing of the 2015 electrical specifications, Section 86 in the 2010s was also updated to be parallel. And it took a little bit of work on the team that was working on this, because we basically took the Section 87 and the Section 86 and we combined them back into one section as Section 86 under the 2010 publications. Question number 6 is a pre-bid question of bidder's inquiry. You are correct. I'm using the old terminology here because I guess I've been around too long. It is a bidder's inquiry. Question number 7. Can payment clauses be included in the special provision, therefore supersede the standards? You are right if you look at the contract parts and what governs over what, and that a specific governs over the generals, and it says clearly in that list of contract part what governs. So the special provision specifications will govern over the standards. And again, they should be written so that they replace, add, or delete to help avoid any conflicts. Question number 8. Example was given of tack code as a separate bid item for other than minor HMA. Do you have other example of changes in 2015 which would significantly affect the possibility of change orders? I gave you a few of them today, but I think all of us out there need to be reading the specs and understanding them, and you will find where are these examples. We are not going to publish a list of all of these little nuances. Question number 9. Will the payment for AC dike still require payment under the asphalt item section 36 ton and also by linear feet. I'm not going to answer that right now. I would review the payment section in section 39. And as far as I know, there's still two, but we will respond and make sure on the actual response that we clarify it and tell you what paragraph that's in section 39 payment. Question 10, slide 70, is referring to section change but didn't note division change in section.
That is on slide 68 and 69. So
Okay.
that information shown on slide 68 and 69.
Okay. The information for that is shown on slide 68 and 69 for the division change. Question number 11. Have the bid item numbers been moved along with the corresponding sections?
At this time, the bid item codes are the same as the 2010s. Until we no longer have to support the 2010s, the bid item codes will not be changed. So the sections, or the bid item codes, won't match the sections. I anticipate that that'll probably be within the next 6 months or so. But yes, the goal is that they will have matching section numbers.
Question 12. Do you have a tree showing the division, section, subsection, etc.? Comes in really handy when you have to look for something specific and cut down search time. Such as when you query trees, deer list, in the DOS code module, you'll get a complete folder, subfolder listing so you know how far it snakes its way down in the list.
Currently, we do not have a tree, and I don't anticipate that happening. My suggestion is just doing a word search at the time to find what technical information you're looking for.
Question 13. Since a lot of the sections have changes, a large number of the item codes will also be changing. Will the contract data be updated so the new codes, so we can search using the new numbers, or will we have to look at the old numbers to get the past cost data?
The cost data book will be based on the contract bid item codes. So there'll be some projects with old bid item codes, and there'll be some projects with new bid item codes, non-standard bid item codes, but with similar descriptions. So there's still going to be a transition, and you're probably going to have to go back and forth in the cost data book to find out those bid item codes that have non-standard numbers that don't match the section. The question 14, where is the standard specification for guardrail terminal systems? Section 83-2.04 is blank. It is reserved currently in the standards, which means that there's possibly a special provision that would be put in the project for the guardrail terminal systems. So if you see a reserved section, typically there's a special provision that needs to be edited for a project.
Question 15. We've noticed that several contractors submitted GFE forms even though they were not the three lowest bidders. Is this a new requirement?
The Section 2 special or standard specifications are similar from the 2010s and the 2015s. Because of electronic bidding, those forms are required at time of bid. Also, I would suggest reading Section 2.133, where it says when the forms are due. So the contractor is submitting those forms and being evaluated based on their bid at bid opening.
Question 16. For the QA test, will reference still be made to the 2010 Construction Manual, Chapter 6? Does the backup conform with the 2015 QA tables? Division of Construction is currently going to be revising our construction manual to match the 2015 specifications. So this will be coming up by the end of the year. There will be a new construction manual with references. Question 17. Are you planning to update the Section 15 item codes to utilize their new sections?
The plan is to give the matching item codes to the specific technical sections, and until we no longer support the 2010s, we cannot give new bid item codes because they're used for both the 2010 standards and the 2015 standards. So yes, eventually they will get new bid item codes.
Question number 18. Is there an updated bid item list that corresponds to all the changes in the 2015 standard specifications? Can the link to the web address be provided for this?
On the Office Engineer website, there is a 2010 and 2015 bid item list. So you should be able to access those two different bid item lists based on the set of standards you're using. For the most part, they should be parallel in nature, so you should be using the same bid item codes for both the 2010 and the 2015. That's why you see some of those bid item codes not matching the applicable section.
Okay, we're going to take a minute here and we're going to switch over to another list of questions. Okay, we're back. We're going to start with question 19. How do you correlate roadside signs in the standard spec 82 versus item code staying in section 56?
So what you'd have to do is look at the special provisions in section 1-1.01 where you would have a table for the bid item code and the description of the work. So it would be the transition of what bid item code and what section it's applicable to, and that was discussed in the presentation.
We're experiencing a little bit of technical difficulty, but I'm going to read you the questions and then we're going to answer them. So the next question, number 20, is where are the electrical specifications Division 10 shows reserved and no content? So what we have to do is when we, as part of the finding a home for every specification, is we have we're going to be adding some additional specifications that are currently non-standards, and so we provided the headings, and then underneath it shows reserved. So a reserved is going to be either for an existing special provision that goes there, so there's a special provision that fits in that spot, or in a couple of cases we have places reserved because we know we have non-standards that we need to get moved into the standards, and the team is still continuing to work on converting all the non-standard electrical specifications to standards. Question number 21. I might have heard wrong, but did you say for removing traffic stripes, if there's no separate bid item, it is change order work? Where does it state this? So let's go back. We say now that the bid item sets forth the technical section that applies in section 1-.1-01. So if you don't have a bid item for section 84 for markings, then you don't have a bid item for removing that striping. And so that section doesn't apply. Section 84 wouldn't apply. So in that case, you're going to have to write a change order to remove that striping if it has to be removed because of what the operation the contractor is doing out there. Now, the other thing is there could be a cross-reference. So if you got section 60-302C says that the removed stripes are part of that item, so now you got a cross-reference. So if 60 cross-references to removals, then it would be included in that bid item for the section 60 bridge item. Question number 22. If you are writing a special provision referring to an RSS, do you also need to list the date of the revision to the RSS section?
If you're revising an RSS on the right-hand side, you'll see the date that change got published. So depending on if you're replacing an entire section or just a portion of a section, there may be dates within a replaced section of the RSS. So yes, you'll see dates. Would you put any local utility adjustment or modification special provisions in section 78? Section 77 is dedicated to local infrastructure work. So I don't know in terms of what the question is being based on, but typically section 77 is for local utility or local infrastructure work. The third part of the question is in section 60-2.01c, first paragraph, why was complete bridge removal taken out of the section? And we don't have that section in front of us, so we will probably have to respond at a later date for that response or for that question. What was your last question? Do you want me to answer? Okay, so question 23. Are the local agencies that use Caltrans standards going to need to move to a different methodology of acceptance when we adopt these standards?
So again, is with the Caltrans specifications and the quality assurance, we now clearly define that what is quality control for the contractor and what is department acceptance. As long as the local agency wants to use the same criteria that Caltrans is using for acceptance of the materials, they will not have to make any changes. If they want to use a different type of acceptance criteria, then they would have to create their own specifications and then replace the Caltrans in it. I think at this time we have used up all the time we've allocated for this. Thank you all for participating. There are more questions that we didn't get to, and we will ensure that we include responses to those as part of on our website. So all the questions that we did answer and those that we didn't get to answer today, we will make sure to provide you the answers. It will probably take us at least a week, maybe two, to get all this up on the website. So be looking forward to that. Since we have a list of all the people that attended, we will also send an email out to you once it's posted to let you know that it's up. Thank you for attending.